So I think to start, we should approve the meeting minutes from 2 months ago, August 11th. Has everybody seen those?
Yes,
They're excellent as always.
they are indeed.
So I vote to approve.
Second.
Okay. Now I guess we need to go over the Maneuver Parker Nichols thing again.
Okay,
So
very briefly, accepted by Pennsylvania Historical Museum Commission. They are paying to fabricate it, they're paying to ship it. We have to get signatures from the borough to receive and install it. We also need budget for that process of installation, which I don't think is that much. And also to hold some kind of ceremony. And there's very specific instructions related to how we need to recognize the state and Governor Shapiro, etc., in that ceremony. And then we need to get the signature of the closest property owner for where we're installing it, which will be the Millwood Justice House area. Dennis is working with Jim and potentially Molly Lester to speak with the owner of that property to get her or their authorization for the installation.
Great.
okay.
So do we need some vote? Do we need some agreement, or is that just an update?
Just an update.
That's just an update, and I think Dennis is going to request some money from the borough to make it happen.
We get the placard from the state, but we have to include the sign, the post, and the where it goes in the ground.
We provide the sign, the post.
The post, yeah. So
Does that require some coordination with Public Works about that?
Yeah.
Probably if they do the installation.
I'll reach out to Jeff and just give him a heads up, and I'll circle back if he thinks that's an issue. I can't imagine it will be.
I imagine they'd want to specify the pole and the installation.
Yeah, I know they have spare, essentially, traffic poles in their lot, so they're not gonna have to buy anything or anything like that.
That's good. Great, nice work.
so
Probably should get the okay of the property owner first.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
first.
Yes.
So Dennis and I will do that.
Okay.
Is there a expectation of whether they are agreeing to this? Any early indication? Was there another conversation?
My expectation is that they'll say, okay,
Where?
and we'll discuss where they would
Yeah.
like to see it. And anywhere along the bounding streets would be suitable, I think. It just doesn't want to be objectionable to the property owner, is all.
Is it multiple properties that?
Nope.
It's the one,
Single
right?
property,
Just the one.
with two bounding streets.
But you don't want to show up on somebody's front yard and say, "Oh, it's going here."
Of course.
You want to ask.
Understood.
Yeah.
So, item number 3, discussion of work group visits to the area adjacent to the borough's Montgomery Avenue border to inform HARB response to council's request to evaluate the list of contributing resources in advance of drafting a formal response. It's a mouthful.
You handled that well.
Thanks. It took me 2 tries. Jim and Kevin attended the working group with Dennis. So I guess the question is, what did you find out? What was the upshot of the discussion?
Well, we basically just walked those streets from Dennis's house to a dead end street, but behind Caliber Collision.
Yeah.
And where there's that long garage. and then over down Iona to Montgomery and up Montgomery and back. And I think the purpose was just, in addition to looking at the individual properties and trying to determine if some of them were in fact older, like the collision shop, which there's some discussion about its age, but it is a brick building on a stone foundation and appears to have some age to it, although the front has been added on to, replaced. So, I mean, that's just to suggest that it has some value as a historic property. But really, I think my takeaway from that experience was to think about if there's development in those lots, its effect on surrounding properties, because we basically got a request to look at individual properties. And one way to respond is to think about the effect on all of the neighboring properties. So for example, like those houses that have commercial frontages on Montgomery Avenue, that's one problem, but those properties also have a relationship to the Iona behind them. And so I think we just want, that's part of a response, which is to think of, even if there were to be development there, which could be very positive, I think we all were in agreement that there are many issues going on, as we've said for the last several months on Montgomery Avenue. But so that was one takeaway, to just have a better sense of a more holistic response to this area.
So one of the questions I think that Borough Council wants some guidance on is whether the houses along Montgomery that have commercial additions in their fronts are deserving of keeping their historic district designation.
Mhm.
They're contributing their contributory designation. That is an interesting and I think almost unanswerable question. It is, there's no doubt that they have been
Altered.
altered. I was going to say buggered, but that's probably not.
Yeah.
Don't put that in the
Judgment.
minutes. To the point that their integrity is compromised pretty severely.
Yeah.
I'm searching for words that can be put in the minutes. The advantage of keeping their designation is that when the time comes for this strip to be redeveloped, it will most likely be redeveloped not as a collection of small parcels, but it will be aggregated into a one large parcel, which is
If feasible, that's a big if.
that's right, and it will be the fact that it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
So far has a lot to do with the fact that the parcels in question are shallow. And
Yeah.
the best you can do from a real estate development standpoint is to take this little property, park 2 cars in the back,
Yeah.
and hope that somebody will rent it. And there's one instance there where there was extensive renovation done and it's remained vacant all these years.
The pizza shop,
Yeah,
the former
After the
Sun
fire.
Valley Pizza.
after the fire, we actually, the planning commission heard testimony from the owners
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. Kevin, do you remember when that was? It was,
The fire actually was right before I got to the borough. The first thing I did for an arborist was stamp the drawings for that building permit reconstruction. So you're going back to 2017 is when the building permit for reconstruction came in.
17,
Yeah,
a long time ago, and there's never been a tenant in there.
it's actually there's a nail salon that's about 75% done right now.
So, anyway,
Well, I
the
think,
future of of that strip of stores and houses is very hard to, envision.
Yeah,
I think if we were to create a section of Montgomery that no longer was on the list, no longer was property of the historic district, it would release any positive thoroughfare for the purchasers from doing anything with the buildings. So I'm not sure that we want to take the step of removing it from the public right, but say that it's, it hasn't got a, prayer of anything historic. And it's, it's become, whatever it's become. The, I think that by doing that, we ensure that there's a right for us, the HARB, to say, give us a photographic documentation before it's returned to your goal.
Mhm.
But that's about it.
I'm not clear on your position. Would you mind just restating?
I think that you want to keep the buildings in the right of way. They're in the they're in the,
You want to keep their designation
keep the designation.
so that you can ask for HARB,
Yeah,
For our
Abstract.
ability to stay involved.
yeah, that's right.
and, yeah, so I think there's some agreement about that. But also I think we can signal in a letter that we would very much look forward to the redevelopment of these
Yeah.
properties. And would like to participate in the review of any new developments, contribution to this historic neighborhood. Especially the backside, that would be my position.
Mhm.
They're not working, they haven't worked in a really long time.
Yeah.
The piecemeal solution is not working.
Yeah.
But, so in other words, I think we can maintain their contributing status to ensure the right to review without saying we're against any new development.
That's right.
Dennis, if I'll speak for Dennis, does have some interest in documenting the buildings if they were to be demolished.
Yeah.
Now, that would require an archiving institution to receive those documents, which we have not done yet.
The Lower Merion has it.
But Lower Merion, his vision is that Lower Merion Historical Society would receive documentation of the buildings.
I recognize and appreciate value of their documentation from their earlier condition, their original. However, I, have the dissenting opinion here on this that I've expressed earlier, that I think any and all additional levels of regulation that we actually represent here in our review process is just a further deterrent to the objective and the goal of redeveloping, of getting new investment, getting something better than what is the current state, which is unattractive, dysfunctional, and segmented. It's splintered. You have ownership that is in many small pieces. And to your point, Jim, about the market feasibility of it, it's a question of whether it's economically viable for somebody to do assemblage, which takes significant time and money. And one of the ways to incentivize investment, if if redevelopment is a goal, is to affect this through regulations and incentives to do that as opposed to costs. And time is money to any redeveloper. The more time they have to spend doing review and going back and forth between review entities is a perceived and a real cost.
Mhm.
So if there is an objective, an overarching objective to see positive change, I feel that it's important for us to not pursue, not endeavor to be part of that just at the, I feel it's a duplication, frankly, to the role of the planning commission, because if in fact it is to, these are to be demolished, frankly, I think our job is done and superseded because there's an acceptance that there's a need to do something different. That is to say, to redevelop by way of demolition. So what should our role be? And we come back to this. What should our role be in new development? And this came up here on the big project at Haverford Avenue. We are a historic commission. If in fact these properties are deemed not worth saving, which I would maintain is the case, I feel strongly that there should not be a further level of review, which is regulation, which is cost to somebody trying to affect what I think is positive change. Now, how can I say it's positive? Because it's relative to what we got now. And I have faith in the planning commission to do their job. And that we don't have to duplicate that at the expense of positive change.
So my response to the question of what is our role in the potential redevelopment of these properties, which are in a historic district, and so we wouldn't be adding anything. So we already possess the right to review.
We do.
Is to represent those property owners who are surrounding these properties in a historic district, and to help ensure that this new potential redevelopment does not negatively affect the character and value of their properties. For example, those row houses on Iona, which any new development would affect if it was big enough to actually cross, if you were to assemble multiple lots. So on the one hand, we do want to incentivize development to help fix a bad problem. On the other hand, we don't know the solution to that problem. And there are externalities that would affect other historic property owners to whom we also have a responsibility.
Well said.
Do we not have faith in the planning commission to achieve that same goal?
No,
I hope they do, but that's not our role.
that's not our role. It isn't.
Is it their role? I'm asking, is this a duplication?
I think we have right here, we have Jim, myself, are both architects. You're an interior design, no, you're a historian and developer.
Nope. Yeah, okay, I'll go with it.
Okay. We have a clear assemblage of people that are interested in the historic property of these buildings. I don't think the people in zoning are as concerned with the building. Plan.
Jim, you've done both. What's your opinion?
I think the people in planning are concerned with the overall impact of development on entire neighborhoods, not just the parcel. Certainly during my tenure, that was the case, and I don't think there's any reason to suspect that things have changed. The question is do we want to keep an oar in?
We're seeding that.
I agree with,
away.
I agree that
If we
the one,
follow.
Correct. That is the request, right?
Yeah.
That is the request of, the inquiry from council,
Correct.
to ask us to not have jurisdiction.
Well,
I think so. I think it's pretty clear. They're saying this should not be subject to review. It
They-
should not
they
be
are.
they are. In
They
fact,
are.
They are today. And the suggestion is that they should not be going forward.
Right, the
Right?
request is to remove their contributing status. Now,
Yeah. Which takes us out of the game.
which takes that out of the game, but
Yeah.
let's say, language works both through what you're saying directly and through connotation. And if they would like to know, are we going to obstruct any new development? We can say very clearly, we are interested in new development without waiving the right to review. And maybe a developer, that would be on the public record, a developer could read that and say, oh, they're willing participants in this process. They're not abstaining from the process.
I find that to be problematic in the sense that this is a statement of intent that is contained in a document somewhere. But that may or may not come to the attention of an applicant who's looking at what is the review process? What are the levels of review? And does it have jurisdiction in the historic district? And I know from being in that game, in that world, that when somebody hears something is designated as historic, it scares them away. And it's going to be some significant percentage of the people who would look to come in and do something to invest time and money. It's a perception and it's a reality of having been down that path in other places where it's time and money.
Mhm.
And if you want to encourage change, if you want to encourage reinvestment and redevelopment, you seek to incentivize as opposed to create cost. Time
That's
and
true.
review is cost.
That is true, but our job and the planning commission's job is to, and the borough council's job also, is to manage development, which we all understand to be desirable. But
It's
to
up
make
to
sure
us.
that it's done in a, to be advocates for quality
Mhm.
of that development.
Mhm.
Because development along that little strip, that goofy little irregular strip on Montgomery Avenue, could so easily just turn its back on the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And, again, I'm using language, turns back on,
Literally,
that you could put in the minutes.
that's a
Without
good,
offending anybody, but what I mean is,
Yeah,
a developer could come in there and just, put the screws to the, remaining fabric of that
Mhm.
neighborhood. And all of the parties, all of the regulatory parties here in Narberth don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So, I think our role should continue to be stewards for these goofy accidental properties. They can't defend themselves.
Hmm.
By that I mean the backyards of
Yeah.
the little houses on,
the owners of the
of
neighboring properties.
Iona Avenue.
Yeah.
Meeting House, what's it, Meeting House Lane? What's the name of that street? I always get it wrong.
Meeting House does not
Yeah.
back up to
It doesn't.
Montgomery. It touches it at one point.
I'm embarrassed that I can't,
That's okay, Jim. We know what you mean. The ones that touch Ione,
save on,
same one,
save on.
right?
So in that, having said that, the conclusion that I came to, and I think Dennis was advocating as we walked, was that the designation should remain for that purpose, if only for that purpose. With the understanding that the historical character of the houses in question is long gone.
Yeah.
It's not
It is.
about maintaining their historical character. Julie.
I have two reactions to this conversation now as the dissenter, and if I'm thinking option A or B, because clearly I'm in the minority as a single person, and you all are agreeing
We're not gonna vote.
for inclusion.
This is just for discussion.
Oh, well, regardless, I think that it would ultimately, if there were a vote, I'd be the dissenter
Okay.
and sole dissenter. So my thoughts are, if you all were to agree that it's important to keep them in, to keep our skin in the game, our opportunity for further review, I would then just write a dissenting opinion. And I would provide that to council members, some of whom I know have, I think probably the majority have that same opinion with me, frankly, having talked with a number of them. And I would be happy to do that, is to, if it comes down to an official decision, just write a dissenting opinion like the Supreme Court does and state my case. Alternatively,
Let's not drag the Supreme Court into this,
good point.
please.
Right. Thank you. I will not.
Their supremacy is in question.
Okay, bad example. Thank you. I withdraw, I strike that from the record. The other thing that I think could be interesting in terms of our further involvement and review would be for this body, in certain circumstances such as this, to become a review participant as kind of a friend of or committee to the Planning Commission. And thereby not creating another level of review by a separate entity, but rather be referred certain cases that meet certain criteria. And I was a part of this as the Main Street Design Committee that had enough cred with design expertise such as we have, that the zoning hearing board of Highland Park, New Jersey, would send to our group the submissions that met certain criteria, as it was within our domain geographically. And there was this informal review, friend of the formal organization, within the timeframes that were specified for the sake of efficiency. And therefore, there's the opportunity to represent all these interests that you're speaking to and be an efficient decision-making body.
Yep, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And I think that would be fantastic for us to work. It would give us an opportunity to collaborate with the Planning Commission, present our professional expertise going forward, and be efficient.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for that matter, I'm all for the first option as well. I think you have every right to submit a dissenting opinion if you like it. But I do like the second part even better, because it's about being collaborative and trying to support, and trying to share. I mean, this is a community with a lot of expertise in it. We should be using it.
Frankly, it also helps to knock down silos. We've had good overlap between you, Jim, and now Adam, and previously Jen, which is good, but this kind of would formalize that.
I don't know how to do that, how to start that conversation, because
It could be by way of this response to council, and saying we welcome, we reached this conversation with different opinions. We welcome the opportunity to continue having input from a different perspective, perhaps than the Planning Commission. However, we want to remain efficient, and we propose this approach as a referring entity, friend of, whatever you want to call it, subcommittee.
Amicus.
Thank you, amicus brief.
is
And it would just require, number one, coordination, and number two, timelines be managed, so that there's enough time for that review to happen at the entity of the Planning Commission and the HARB amicus status review. And it gives us some weeks to review together, turn around with formal comments.
I think it's a good idea.
You said Highland Park has something like this, if we wanted to refer to a precedent.
This was some years ago,
uh,
and
That's
I don't
okay.
know if it remains. It
maybe
was, I think it was informal in the sense that it was relationship driven. And there were people on the Main Street Design Committee who had the cred and the expertise to warrant their being given that opportunity because of their expertise, their cred. I don't know if that exists today or not. Relationship driven and talent driven.
Okay,
One of the questions that came up when I talked to Dennis was regarding the 1946 to 1970 properties and looking at only commercial properties as the way to go with kind of, we're giving these
Quality.
things, yeah, quality of space.
Yeah,
It would include schools, ex-schools, current schools, post office,
yeah,
a lot of the photographs you have here,
I like that.
St. Margaret's, this building,
Yeah,
well, this is probably not the best. But it really isn't, it's not about the building, it's about these things having
you could
a
argue that it's the
certain
building
commercial aspect.
and the use.
Yeah.
The
and social,
civic,
Yeah.
and social contribution to the town.
Yeah,
The buildings that have housed institutions or organizations that have contributed.
Yeah.
To the, character of the town.
I like that.
So just so I get this, so if we were to expand the period of significance from 1945 to 1970, then it would only include the commercial property.
Yeah.
Commercial institutions.
Institutional.
institutions.
Commercial and institutional.
That way the school is included.
Yeah. Interesting.
I
The
think that's
school
a,
would be included because it's in the born-on date of sometime between those
Yeah.
two.
It's, I think they were
I don't remember.
60s. There's several
This is
schools. There's,
Yeah.
133 North Narberth. There's the school the school that we think of. That's on,
Sabine.
yep, and, St.
Yeah.
Margaret's.
Yeah.
There's at least 3 schools.
3, St. Margaret's and Sabine and what?
And this school. I think it was a school.
What?
I believe it was a school.
No.
the Acorn Building?
Yeah. No?
I don't think it was.
I can't
Okay.
see it.
All right. Well,
I don't know what it was.
okay.
It looks to me like it was born as an office
But,
building, in any case.
The Keating
for the
Building.
sake of the record,
Yeah.
can you just continue to elaborate why that makes good sense to you?
It makes good sense because these buildings are functioning, they have functioned, they still function as a piece of Narberth. They,
Contributing to civic life
yeah, they contribute to civil life, they,
and history.
yeah, they do.
That's distinct to that, that's distinct from the houses,
Yeah.
which don't contribute
Contributes
No.
enough.
and never
Not really
will.
much.
Right. That's beautiful.
That completely eliminates my gut.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
disgust at the idea of.
You get one, you get a ball, get them all.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I think it's.
How many you think we're talking about if we expanded it, but only under those conditions, like
6, 8, maybe?
under 10 properties?
Yeah.
I'm guessing more. I'd bet the over.
It would take some, kind of decision.
Well,
What-
are we including those that we just talked about, those commercial properties, on Iona and Montgomery?
Oh, no, I don't, I think that's a separate thing. It's a separate topic.
Well, we must differentiate.
Yeah.
Somehow. if that's the intent.
Okay. I think there, in terms of the schools and, the buildings that we're talking about, we have to make sure that we understand what each of these buildings is. You know, is this building, was it ever a school? I don't know. So, you know,
Mhm.
we need to go through the list and identify.
All right, here's another question then.
It may only be 8 to 10 buildings.
Here's another question that kind of begs a definition of a commercial or institutional. What about an apartment building? Multifamily, because these are, in my world, defined as commercial because they're income producing. Would an apartment building in that era qualify? And I don't feel like there's a right answer, I'm just posing the question.
They're residential buildings. Their use is what distinguishes commercial building to me is,
There are detached, single-family rental properties in our, your residential.
Okay, so we're looking at the definition being having that contributing to civic life and history, and an apartment building doesn't qualify? Is that accurate?
I think the use of the building goes a long way to defining this.
look,
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
well, I mean, if it's only multifamily apartment, if there's like street level, you know,
Yeah.
street level retail, that complicated, because Hartford, for example, has that.
Haverford and Narberth, like the movie house.
Yeah,
Well, not the movie house. They don't have apartments upstairs, but there are mixed use properties.
That's a good question.
so there's, so
There's some
we
movie
could say it
houses.
doesn't include mixed use properties.
Should that be a yes or a no? Okay, so you have commercial, apartments over commercial, small, 2-unit apartment over a store. Yes, no? I'm sorry to get into splitting hairs, but I mean, just want to make sure our intentions are good, are clear rather.
I really had not included 2-layer of buildings with
Hmm.
apartments over top. But, you know, the movie house is a good example, and the adjacent building. Is that kind of included in this list?
Should it be?
Yeah,
To me, hell yeah. I mean, an old movie house is, despite the fact that it's been modified massively on the front and in the inside.
yeah,
I don't know how that affects it, but old movie houses are certainly things worth saving,
sure.
generally speaking.
and they're cultural institute,
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
you could argue.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The pizza joint with the apartments upstairs, the Greeks with the apartments upstairs, all that row on the opposite side of Haverford Avenue, commercial with apartments upstairs. I don't know.
They
I don't know
are,
what their born on dates are.
they're certainly contributory to the,
I think they're probably pre anyway.
Mhm.
yeah, they're already
They're already,
in
they're not even
compliance.
in
Yeah.
question.
The Acorn Building,
What's that?
that's the one that Keating,
Keating.
Yeah. Is it-
Keating's building, this one.
Yeah, yeah,
Right here.
yeah.
Is an office building.
It's been changed
Yeah.
significantly.
Oh, I'm sure it's been changed many times. Somebody glued on those arches.
Yeah.
You say it's an office building, does that support keeping, in,
I don't think so.
you do not?
No.
Because of its use?
It does not contribute to the cultural life of the community, the civic life. You know, it's a you know,
Mhm.
in recent years, it's a contractor's office building.
Right, okay,
And,
Now then the same would go for
I'm just leafing through these pictures here, that 145 on page 2, 145 North Narberth Avenue, that is an office building also.
Right.
No contribution to the civic life of the community, in my opinion. Whereas obviously 227 North Narberth, which is St. Margaret's School, has a huge contribution to the civic life. One Station Circle has a state store in it, probably detracts from the civic life. It's basically an office over a store. No contribution, in my opinion, to the.
is our criteria defensible? Does it need to be defensible?
Sure it does, in the end,
Mhm.
you know, the 102 Conway, the fire department and the borough offices.
There's no contribution whatsoever.
Well, I mean, I think
Just kidding.
there's
Be
one
careful,
way to.
your life is on the line.
Like, we can, if we apply the rule to the list of contributing resources and just see like what's left.
Yeah.
And then go one by one. We might be fine, cause we're already exploring edge cases, which we might. which
We don't
could,
need to
but we
go
might
there.
not even get.
We don't need to go there. All we have to do
But
is
it's
state
interesting.
our criteria and let others apply it, right?
And see how it shakes out,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
if it doesn't achieve the goal that we're trying to achieve, we say, okay, we
Yeah.
gotta make it more.
So we need a definition.
Properties that are we saying institutional and commercial? Yes, because it's including the
But that
theater,
are,
for example.
but that have,
Institutional and commercial that contribute to the civic
and cultural or cultural
life
life of the
of the
community.
community. Yeah. So that would include, for example, bad example, wrong time period, but just presume that the little gym were in that time period, it would qualify. Because it was originally,
It was originally a repair garage.
okay, so maybe it wouldn't,
No.
maybe it wouldn't.
I don't think it would. And it's rapidly becoming residential,
Yeah,
but it never has a
cultural,
cultural institution.
well,
And
it's a cool old industrial building, on the other hand. I'm being a contrarian. I love old historic industrial loft buildings for their value. To me, they're architectural and cool factor value. And we may not have many of those
only got
around.
one,
That may be it.
and
And it would be including things from an earlier period.
Right.
it's now got a
I
kitchen
guess
center.
it's academic. So never mind.
And as I go further into this list, these houses have no place. I mean, for these two, for example,
Right.
they're
Right.
it's not worth considering.
Right.
Seriously.
I agree.
So I think we have the bones of a definition that we've just articulated.
I think so.
And I think we should
Well done.
take that to the full group when we reconvene
Yeah.
in November
Agreed,
and call this discussion sufficient for the
Yeah.
time being.
agreed. So. Any new business? Any new ideas or new concerns?
Question.
We had a
Old business.
case for
Review.
a review a couple of weeks ago. When was that? That we met with,
Kevin, are you on?
Yeah, that was Jason Copley. That was last month.
Cadence Architecture.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about the advisory? Yeah.
The advisory was the word I was looking for, which was very straightforward. And the finding, I don't know how you wrote it up in the end. But it was it was that the attempt to decorate the house with half timbering, sort of very amateurish and questionable half timbering treatment. Yeah.
Was it an architect submission?
Yeah,
What was the property?
I think it was 22 Elmwood, if I remember correctly.
it was Woodside,
Woodside? 22 Woodside.
19 Woodside.
Trying to look through my email while I'm going through this. Yeah, it was an architect submission, but it wasn't like through zoning or anything yet. They hadn't gotten there. And I know that the architect said it was extremely client driven, not really his design sense, if that's
He was
What-
just covering himself,
Nothing like starting with
his
a apology.
unmentionable parts.
This
He
is,
recommended that he do either a lot less or none of the half timbering treatment. Approaching none. The house is perfectly fine the way it is.
is this an expansion? No, and
Well,
not
yeah,
an
there was a-
addition.
There was a dormer, I think.
Yeah, they're like kind of extending the height of a dormer on the side. It's not really visible from the right of way. But yeah, it was kind of just these architectural faux features that he was playing with at the front that really came in for review. And Jim, obviously, you can give your take, but he didn't really love them.
The architect didn't know.
No, Jim did not like them.
None of the architects present apparently.
Well, it was a laughable, almost laughable, misinterpretation of what Tudor construction would have been.
Kevin, I'm going to send you the design packet if you want to pull it up. I'm going to email it to you.
Okay,
Oh my.
So what was the outcome?
actually,
Got
Kevin,
cut
can
down.
you
The
just put
outcome was
it in
we
the chat?
recommended that they do less,
Let me see if I can do that.
Yeah, wow,
and I'm not sure how
wow.
Kevin wrote it up, but
Do less, period. Said.
do way less. And then he retreated by saying, well, it's the client,
Cadence architecture.
didn't cut no mustard with me.
Uh-uh.
It was advisory, so we advised.
Right,
That was the end of that.
wow.
Are we gonna see that again, Kevin?
I haven't heard from since we left that day, so I don't know if you went back to the client and discussed it, but nothing yet from me. Yeah, Kevin, I can't attach it. I did email it to you though.
Kevin, I allowed you to share your screen so that we could see your screen if you have it.
Let me see.
When did that come?
Hmm?
When did you guys see that?
A
Couple weeks?
couple weeks ago.
Can you see this?
No.
25th. Interestingly, there's very little hash timber
Can you see this?
in Narberth.
Yes, but
There is a
I'm
little,
gonna
that's very little.
It's
zoom,
probably pretty small.
I can zoom in here. Can you move the screen with our zoom in it?
The inset.
Oh, there we go.
That's the front facade there. Or proposed front facade, I'm sorry. This is the existing here. And they're really not changing the front. And as you can see, there's a dormer right. I guess you can probably start to see it. No. Right here. So that's the dormer they're expanding. And it's really not by much, and you can barely see it from the front facade. But you see all the timbering there on the side, the rear, the front. So
It's a way of making a perfectly good stucco wall. more leak prone.
Yeah,
Can we see that
that
other,
is the
that rear
worst
elevation again?
condition, that
Yeah.
stuff.
That at the bottom?
Yeah, so that's the rear, and I guess a lot of Jim's comments were
You can't see
related
it.
to these curves that were kind of falling into nowhere, or like over top of a window, or just stopping and just being interrupted.
Can you zoom out? And down?
That's a
Oh, yeah,
Okay. We're also messing with the materials on that face. And the rear. Putting in a deck. Yeah. So when it comes to a matter of style, which is pretty much, I mean, there's the dormer itself is the foam, but it's primarily the style that we're concerned with. Right? So
Yeah,
we can urge them and lean on them.
that's all we can do. That's why it was an advisory review and I gave my opinion.
Mhm. Right, right.
That's all we can do.
Mhm.
The owner wants to have half timbering. You know,
Technically, I mean, if we wanted to, could we say it's? Never mind.
I said everything that needed to be said at the
Yeah, okay,
review. It's a done deal.
okay.
I just mentioned that it occurred.
Okay,
Anything else?
I was just wondering, going back to our previous meeting about submission of cost estimates for the upcoming budget year. I assume all that was submitted.
Yeah, it was.
And received and without any feedback at this time because it's still too early.
I don't know. Dennis typed it up? Submitted? Well, I submitted.
All right, so it's in.
So it's in. I don't know if he's gotten any kind of response.
I guess that takes time for the process.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? No? Okay, adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second,
so moved.
Here we go.
Kevin, pleasure.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
thank you.
See you soon.
Man behind the hour.